short answer here is no. No, nobody can turn around and say that this was a stolen election. It's very hard to prove that with our electoral services that we've got in place. Now, you might recall when you got your voting form, there was a barcode on each of your forms, and that's because most of the counting is done digitally these days. It's basically put through a machine, the machine collates everything, boom, you're good to go. And that's necessary for a few reasons. First of all, it's just faster. Second of all, when you're dealing with a system like STV, which about 26 of our local councils have used this election, you need to be able to calculate quite quickly what the outcomes are going to be because there's a whole bunch of shifting variables that come into place. What you don't have, though, is a whole bunch of people sitting there just going 1, 2, 3 anymore. It just doesn't happen that way. But there are scrutineers in place to be able to double check this information, and candidates, I believe, are still allowed to have somebody there to scrutineer the process if they wish. Most of the results will be known before anybody goes public with it, but not long after lunchtime because counting gets done in advance, because there's a lot of places that need to be counted. Now, if a candidate isn't happy with the results, there is a judicial process that they can go through, basically step by step. But it's a really simple one. Basically, they go to the district court and they say, I want a recount. The judge looks at the numbers and goes, this was really close. Yeah, a recount's not a bad idea. Or the judge goes, this is insane. You're insane. The numbers are very obvious that you're not going to get in if we do a recount, so nah. If the judge says that, it's done. Dusted. There's no way to appeal. If the judge does decide to do a recount, then what happens is a manual recount usually. STV is a little bit different because obviously, again, they still have to calculate these things. Once that recount's done, that's what the council announces as the result. Now, a council cannot be signed in until those results are done, dusted, finalised, and announced. So this can hold up that process a little bit to get people out there. If it turns out that in a recount or anywhere along the process that the vote is a tie, the way that's actually solved is really old school. They flip a coin or they pull lots. And that's actually something that's not going to change. You see, next year there's going to be big changes to how the Local Government Act works. One of the things that's staying in there, though, is how to break a tie. The only difference is you'll be able to pull out instead of having to do and deal with whatever the outcome of this split tie vote breaker thing is. So you don't have to be known as the candidate who won based on whether or not you got heads or tail. You can choose to walk away if you wish and concede to the other person. Can't do that under current law. But when it comes to actually stealing the election through the court process and doing things in an American style, it can't be done here. Our system is not set up to allow that to happen during local body politics, and anyone that tries to tell you otherwise has no fucking idea what they're talking about.